Hey, Emily. You wanna maybe do a podcast?
Okay, Caitlin.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted?
No. Okay, so I was thinking maybe we could do more of like, hey, Emily, we've known each other for a long time. And we're both into podcasts, right? You want to do one? Maybe? You know, take our relationship to the next level.
I think you did it perfectly. I don't know why we would need to do it again.
Okay, but now you say something. Do you actually want to do it again?
I think we're worried about it too much.
I think so too. I'm like starting to get a little hot. I'm like sweating. I need to take my sweater off. Oh my gosh.
So speaking of getting hot, so when I got home, like I was really cold, and so I kept my sweater on from work, and I was like sitting on the couch, and I was like bundled up in a blanket, and it was 7 o'clock. I was like, Caitlin's gonna be here soon. I need to go work on dishes. And then in the middle of washing dishes, I sliced my finger open, and I got really hot. So by the time you were here, I was like, I gotta put a t-shirt on. Oh my god.
It's like my body's fighting back. I don't know what to do. No, sometimes I think I'm like, I get scared for a second because I think I'm going through like menopause like early. Because like I'll be like fine, I'll be cold for a little bit, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, I'm really hot. Oh, am I dying? Like,
yeah. I know that feeling.
Okay, cool.
It's like, what's happening to my body right now? I don't understand.
It's like one time I heard that women can have menopause super early. Now I'm just worried about it all the time.
That one outline case, it's gonna be me.
It's gonna be me. It has to be. So, okay.
You're listening to Almost Sisters, a podcast where two almost sisters discuss their weekly interests. It's the same thing they've been doing for years, but now they're in front of a microphone. And they're editing it. And posting it with an audience. This is going to be trickier than they thought.
So today we're talking about the Konmari Method.
Ooh.
You know what that is. Don't pretend like.
I was just gonna. Okay, yeah.
So recently, it was very early January. I'm not sure if it came out on New Year's or before New Year's, but Marie Kondo, who wrote The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, now has a Netflix show, and it's amazing.
It's pretty great. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that you watch it and then you're like, oh, I need to like get better. So
oh, this is gonna change my life in dramatic ways.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
That's how it was when I read her book.
Mm-hmm. When I read her book, as I read it, I was like taking things out, and like I was still living with my mom and dad at the time, and they're like, what are you doing? There's stuff everywhere. And so, but now it's like I try to stick with it because it's just like, you know, living in a 700 square foot apartment with a husband who
and a cat
they both have a lot of stuff, but mainly the husband. So it's nice to be able to kind of look back and go, okay, I can do better in this area.
I remember thinking that it was interesting because I remember when I was reading the book, I got through probably 2 chapters of it and I was ready to go. I was like, yes, I want to start getting stuff out. I want to start going through stuff. Yeah. And each chapter I read, each topic she talked about, I was like, oh, I want to tackle that so badly. I want to get through all this stuff and change everything. Mm-hmm. And I gave the book to my mom for Christmas too, and she kind of had the same reaction. She was a couple chapters in and she was texting me, I'm already ready to go through everything. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to start changing stuff. And it's just interesting that that kind of mentality and life philosophy appeals to so many people.
Yeah.
So strongly.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's a really easy concept. It's just you have to give yourself the time to do it. I mean, when you think about, oh, I get to keep all the things that I love, all the things that I really want, but then all the stuff that just doesn't add any value into my life, I get to get rid of those things. And so it's just really, when you think about it, it's like, oh, okay, so why don't I do that just all the time? Like, why do I have to be in this kind of situation? So it's really easy for someone to go, oh yeah, of course, let's do this now. So I think that's really great because like even like we watched the first 2 episodes and the next day I walk into our bedroom and my husband has all his clothes out on the bed and he's just like what? I don't know. He didn't want to admit that the show inspired him. So he was like folding it the right way that she had and everything. And I was like, all right, yeah.
And so it's so inspiring though to hear so many people talking about, I've talked about her book to a lot of people, but as soon as I start talking about reading, people just kind of like their eyes glaze over. And so
shut down.
Seeing people have this reaction to watching the show makes me so excited, like makes me proud of humanity.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting. One thing that I like about the show a lot is that they don't give you all the steps.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like if you want to do it right, go read her book.
Use the manual.
Use the manual because it'll go from step 1, which is closed, it'll skip to step 4 and not give you the 2 steps in between.
Yeah.
So I think that's good that they're not spoiling everything and,
yeah.
Read a book.
Read a book. Yeah, I think that's kind of the idea of the book was always kind of like, it's kind of like a self-help book. And so when people hear self-help books, they're like, I don't need that. I'm fine. And like, okay, newsflash to literally everyone who's listening, everyone in the world, you need self-help books. Yeah. They're good. They help you out. Like, you don't know everything. You probably know less if you're not reading self-help books than people who do. And so you just need to, embrace the read and just go with it.
Well, I think it's also people think self-help and they think, oh, I need help. And like the person writing this book is going to be shaming you for, oh, you need help. Let me fix you. But it's like, no, these self-help books are so inspirational and make you feel so good because they're basically like, you're doing fine, but we can all do a little bit better. And so, self-help books are underrated.
Yeah, because most self-help writers I've read, they usually say, I struggle with these things. I mean, that's why I'm writing this book. It's not because I've perfected it and I'm never going back. It's that every single day I have to remind myself of these things. Like, I have to go, like she talks about in her book and in the TV show about how she has little kids. Now, sometimes clutter just happens. And so it's just really nice to be able to, like, not only get this information, but also be like, oh, I'm not the only one that, like, deals with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
But they also give you confidence because while she says, like, oh, I've also struggled with this before, she says a lot in her book, if you follow this method, it's going to work and you're not going to have to worry about this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Which, just imagining that is such a, like,
oh, that just sounds so peaceful. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So it's amazing. You read the book, watch the show. It'll change your life.
Yeah, it'll change your life. So yeah, I really like, not just with Marie Kondo, but I just like learning about organizational habits and like, ideas and stuff. Like, I'm on Pinterest a lot and, I think we're really kind of sounding like basic white girls right now with like,
Well, we are.
We are.
So
I just want to point out, we are. But I just want to say that Pinterest is for everyone. Like, anyone can use Pinterest. But that's another great way to do organizational stuff. But Emily, what kind of other stuff do you do organizationally for yourself?
Well, it's been interesting because doing the Konmari Method is very different than how I've done organization in the past. And she says in chapter 1 of her book, one of her chapter titles is Storage Experts Are Hoarders. And I think that's true because if you have a lot of storage things, then you can hide a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
So it's like if you've got 50 drawers, you can put a lot of stuff in there and you're never going to open all 50 of those drawers.
Oh, yeah.
And so my organization method used to be a lot of finding cute ways to store everything, but it's changed more to, displaying the things that I like in a pleasing way. I used to love the Container Store.
Yeah, the Container Store is something that I think a lot of people think of when they think of, organization and stuff. But yeah, it's really just finding more places to shove things, There's always that drawer in someone's kitchen where they just shove a bunch of miscellaneous things.
The junk drawer.
The junk drawer, exactly. And so that's just basically you're putting junk drawers all across your house in that way. So yeah, if there's things like, if you have something that you really know you want to keep and you want to find a better way to organize it, that works. But if you're just like, I have a bunch of stuff, I don't know what to do with it, let me buy another box. That's not going to help you.
I feel like organization items are good for solving solutions to problems that are not just, I don't have a place to put it. If you don't have a place to put it, do you really need it?
Yeah.
And if you do, what isn't a place that you don't actually need it? But I think storage solutions are good for, making good use of your space. If you don't have a dresser, which is a very efficient way to store clothes.
Right.
Then there's, finding storage solutions for that is fine.
Yeah. Seasonal things like decorations and stuff. Yeah. Like we have a few tubs in our garage now from all the Christmas decorations. And so, it's just kind of like, if it's useful and you want it in your life and it's something that you go to again and again and again, if you need to find a place to store it, that's fine. But if it's like you have like a paycheck that you have already deposited, you don't need to keep that in your filing cabinet. Just get rid of it, shred it so no one gets your information. But like, you don't need to hold on to those little things. So,
but finding storage solutions for every item is a habit that I'm trying to break out of, and I'm having trouble breaking out of it because I've operated that way for so long. And it was probably a mistake to give my mom the book because now she's quoting Marie Kondo at me.
Yeah.
I was talking to her the other day, and I was talking about the possibility of putting up a pegboard in my dining room to display coffee cups and like my little French press coffee maker and stuff like that. And my mom said, well, Marie Kondo says that you should make use of what you already have instead of buying new things. And I'm like, but it'll be cute, Mom.
Now she's holding you accountable.
She is. But that's what mothers do, so I guess I deserve it.
Yeah, I think my biggest organizational thing is just that, like, I was watching the episode of the couple, the young couple who's like his parents were coming over, and they just kind of were still living that kind of college life, but his problem was that he was very sentimental on things, and so I'm a very sentimental person.
Same.
Yeah, so it's just like I will keep cards, and I have a whole collection of coffee mugs and all the papers that I wrote in college and all these books that I've read, and so now it's kind of like my organizational challenge is really just kind of letting go of these things. Like I've gotten to the point where like my clothes and like my other just miscellaneous stuff, electronics and stuff, if I don't want it, if I don't need it, it's gone. I've been really good about that. I've actually gotten so good at it that I'm kind of starting to run out of clothes because I'm not buying more.
I do laundry so much more now, but it's like it's interesting though, because like even though I have to do more laundry, I'm like liking the stuff that I wear more, and so I'm noticing like, oh, I wear this all the time. I really like it. Yeah. And there's still some pieces in my closet that I'm like, I haven't worn you in a couple months. Not sure if I really like you or not.
Yeah. So it's like if I don't wear something for like a few months, I probably will wait like 6 months just because it's like seasons change and stuff. But like if after that time, I don't even think about it. I'm just like, and you're gone. Like, if I didn't want to wear you, I know that I don't want you. So there's like been only like a couple exceptions with that, with like camp shirts where like kids signed it, and I'll have that tucked away somewhere. But I'll probably end up tossing those eventually too. It's just kind of, I think books have been a real challenge because, me back when I was in middle school and high school, I didn't like to read. And so now I'm like starting to get back into reading and, for the past 5 years, but, and so I have this very like strong attachment to these books because I'm like, this is what I've been missing all my life. And so it's kind of being like, okay, I've read you, you've enriched my life in so many ways. Bye. Just kind of getting that. And then papers too, it's the same way. It's like, okay, I spent 3 weeks writing you, I gotta say bye. You did your purpose, I got an A, great. Yeah. So
but that's another thing that I really like about the Konmari Method is that she's not convincing you to get rid of stuff. The tagline is choose what to keep. Yeah. It's not choose what to get rid of. And so it's like if something has sentimental value to you, she encourages you to keep that. But not to keep it just because it ties you to the past or keeps you from doing stuff in the future.
See, that's the thing is that I always would think, oh, well, it does spark joy because it ties me to the past. But then when I really thought about it and I was like, this in itself, does it spark joy? No, it sparked joy for me back then, but I'm a different person now. And so you got to just let it go, even though you're like, oh, but it made me feel so good back then. It's not doing anything for me now. Right. So, yeah. So I got a lot of papers. My grandma actually gave me a scanner. Like it's like a portable like scanner that you just put papers through. And I'm just gonna spend like a whole day at some point in the next couple weeks and just scan things through. Scan them through. And then like of course I have a lot of my papers that I printed out that are still on my computer. So I'm just gonna like put them all together and have it that way. So recently I listened to a podcast and then found a documentary about these guys called the Minimalists. And so it's these two guys.
Oh, that one. Yes. I've seen that one. Okay.
So there's these two guys and they talk about like just going down to the bare minimum of stuff. So only the things that you need. And then they talk about too kind of like if there's something that you really love, keep it because that's a necessity or something like that. But I was wondering, what would you think about that kind of extreme of like only having like say you have a maximum of like 6 guests come over, so you'd only have 6 cups because that's the most people that come over. Mm-hmm. So like how would you feel about like downsizing to that extreme?
I don't know. I haven't fully processed how. I don't think I could do it because I like being able to see cute things, and I have a lot of, like you, I have a lot of items that are sentimental, so I kind of want to have them around to be able to see them. Plus wanting to pursue things in crafting and wanting to pursue reading hobbies, and I have a lot of hobbies. That's something you probably know about me.
Yes, very much.
And so, but I like doing all those things. And so, I don't know, sometimes when I see pictures of minimalist houses,
they're kind of sad.
They look sad to me. I'm just like, there's nothing here for you to look at. And I forget her name, but the lady that wrote the Guide to Zero Waste, she has an argument for it that is hard to argue with. She says, we don't have much stuff in our house because we go outside. And I'm like,
it's like,
dang it.
But sometimes it's cold and it's raining.
She does live in California, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone who lives in California and tells you to go outside more, come to Texas, okay? I almost used a bad word because I was that mad about it. Sometimes I look at minimalist houses and they look kind of sad to me. Yeah, it's just kind of like, it's drab. It almost looks like a dystopian future kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's kind of almost just kind of scary. Like, I wouldn't want to, like, I like bright colors. Like, my living room has a lot of blue and yellow and, stuff like that. And then the big purple sign that you made for me. So I like having a bunch of color because, like, when there are days when it's, like, really gross and rainy outside, like, it's dark, and so it's nice to be able to be like, oh, it's okay. So, but I think the one thing that I really do like about the minimalism idea is that their wardrobe, like, I would love to just have like a uniform and not have to think about it. Like,
guys can get away with that though.
I know, that's the thing, because if a guy does it, like, it's like, oh, cool, that's whatever, like, he's just wearing a t-shirt and jeans, whatever. But if a girl does it, people are like, are you okay?
It's like, you've worn the same shirt 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
Are you fine?
Did you break up with your boyfriend or whatever? Like, it's like, no, I don't, like, if I could just wear like a simple black dress every day, that would make me so happy.
Well, so there's a lot of pins on Pinterest about capsule wardrobes and like how to do them to where you can mix and match enough to where you have very few items but you can make a lot of outfits. And that's an interesting concept and a good way to go about it for girls, but at the same time, I kind of go through moods of what I want to wear.
That's another thing, yeah. And
I feel like I would have to change my capsule wardrobe every now and then.
Well, and also, too, like the extreme kind of differences in weather with Texas,
Yeah.
It's like it could be so hot that if you're wearing a tank top, you're like, I'm wearing too much clothes. But then it could be so cold that like you're having to wear like 3 different layers. And so it's like you never, like my biggest issue is like I never have enough pants or I never have enough shorts. Like that's always been my issue. It's just like I never have what I need. And so if I were to like minimalize it, I would have to like, it'd have to be like a cartoon character. Like, SpongeBob goes into his closet and there's an entire rack of like clothes. So then he could like, whatever. I'm sure he doesn't layer up his shorts or whatever, but, something like that. So
yeah. I mean, that's I think that's why the KonMari method appeals to me so much, because I've always had that issue with the minimalism stuff, because it's very regimented and very much like, this is what you keep and this is what you don't.
Yeah.
You keep stuff that goes together and that you can use a lot. You don't keep anything else. And so I couldn't stick to that because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But this like KonMari thing is like, keep stuff that you will wear. And I'm just like, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. It's kind of like those diets where it's like the minimalist diet is like the one that you really should be doing. That's like, you know, only fruits and vegetables or whatever. And then the KonMari method is like, oh, well, every now and then you can have like some bread or like a plate of pasta or something like that.
Like,
so
you want to be happy in life. And
Yeah.
so like, if you're going to do something that's just going to make your life miserable, but it's efficient,
yeah,
like,
it's not worth it.
there's
Why
no
are you doing
payoff
that?
there.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm kind of starting as I'm getting older now that I'm 25. I'm starting to kind of realize that, you know, the stuff that you put effort into needs to really be stuff that's going to lead to your happiness. Like I just read this book called Grit, and it's about like pushing through those hard things, but it's those hard things that you want to achieve. Like, of course, you know, if you like do something for a month, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, you got to push yourself past that point. But like, if it's like, you know, 10 years you've been working at this desk job and all you want to do is take nature photography, you got to go out and you got to do the hard stuff to do the nature photography. Like you have to, you know, take pictures of babies for a while and like move up. And like, so it's just kind of like trying to do the hard stuff that's going to benefit you.
right. That'll be worth it in the end.
Exactly.
Not just doing hard stuff
Yeah,
because other people tell you that it's good for you.
exactly. Because then it's just going to be like, now you're miserable in two ways. So before you're just miserable for one way. So, you know, but I mean, on that topic though, at bringing up kind of diets and like maintaining a lifestyle, I know that you do Whole30. And so I was kind of wondering more about that because I have a pescatarian diet. So a lot of these like, you know, sustainable diets don't really work for me because I can't like eat chicken and things like that. So what do you think
Well,
about that?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know that Whole30 would work for you because, again, it's basically a paleo diet. So you get fruits and veggies and meat, and that's pretty much what you get. You can't have grain, no rice or bread or pasta, and no sugar. So no, you know, cookies and ice cream, which applies to every diet basically, and no dairy. So, which, you know, the Whole30 thing is interesting. I remember when I first got on it and I was explaining it to you, you were just like, that sounds miserable. I even hate that. And first getting on it, it is kind of miserable because you're cutting out all this stuff that your body is used to eating. But the way that it works is that you do it for 30 days. And then by the time the 30 days is up, your body is cleansed and you can start adding stuff back in slowly. And your body, you can read your body's signals more about how it reacts to stuff since it's not all mixed in there together. And so because I did Whole30, I kind of realized that like my body doesn't like dairy that much. Dang it. Which, you know, when I first discovered that, I was like, that's sad because I like cheeseburgers and stuff. But I feel better when I don't do stuff that my body doesn't like.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get back on Whole30 because I feel like the paleo diet is it gives me energy. My body agrees with it. You know, I don't think it really has an issue to like gluten, but if I let myself have it, I will have too much of it because I freaking love pasta. So I think I'm going to try to figure out a way to have a sustainable Whole30 because also on Whole30 you can't like have alcohol, and I feel like figuring out a way to be like, okay, only when you go out or only if it's a special occasion, not just like, you know, anytime you feel like it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
That kind of sounds like, so my mother-in-law is wanting me to do this autoimmune protocol diet or AIP, and it's really kind of a more extreme version of that, in that you only do it for a month. And I think Whole30 is like supposed to be, but it's also kind of like you do it for a month and then you can kind of sustain it. But like I think AIP is just more of like you cut out all the possible inflammatory foods and then you introduce them one at a time to see if they cause a reaction in your body. And so my choosing to do this was actually, that started really more of like, she was asking if anyone wanted to do it with her to hold her accountable. And I was like, I'll be the good daughter-in-law who says yes. So, but as I've kind of looked more into it, you know, my goal with my diet to be sustainable has been to veer away from a pescatarian diet where I can eat fish and dairy and eggs and things like that. Or I guess that's an ovo-pescatarian if people are wanting to be exact. But anyways, is that to cut out all that other stuff, you know, so trying to kind of train my body into knowing that's not okay. Like because I know dairy is bad for me. I have a phrase for after I eat too much pizza for the next day, I have what I call a pizza hangover. It's like a hangover, but just not in your head. So your body just feels gross. And so, you know, it's just kind of like, I know that's because of dairy and like, you know, other things that happen. And, but it's just kind of, this is going to be less of the AIP isn't going to be what I'm going to do to sustain. It's going to be what I do to how to figure out. I'm like, I'm confusing myself. So AIP isn't going to be how I sustain myself, but it's going to be how I figure out how to sustain myself. So I'm going to probably introduce back in, like we can't eat potatoes or soy or things like that. And I'll probably introduce those things in first and then maybe just try for as long as I can to avoid the animal products, you know. But I think, you know, all of this is to say that, you know, with this and with the, you know, Konmari Method and, you know, trying to figure out lifestyles, you know, we're trying to figure out, you know, it might be difficult at first to do it, but once you're there and you're in a sustainable place, then it makes it all worth it kind of thing.
But this is what we're supposed to do in this time in our lives, is like try a bunch of stuff. Fail at half of it, and then pick out from the wreckage what we really like and want to keep trying to do.
Exactly. Of course, you know, I think a lot of people nowadays go, oh, I can wait to figure things out and when I'm 30. And it's like, but we're like, no. By the time we're 30, we're going to have this figured out.
We need to.
Yeah, we need to.
I needed to have this stuff figured out when I was in college, and there was no way that was going to happen.
No,
so
I did not have the time. No. So, yeah, it's just kind of, I think just being patient with yourself and, you know, reading self-help books, buying cookbooks, and, you know, just listening to what other people have to say. You know, I think, you know, watching, tidying up, learning about that stuff, because it's so easy, the organizational part, and then it kind of helps you develop the habit of perseverance for other things, you know, when you're like, oh, I really don't want to go through my closet. It's like, well, if you do that, it might be easier for you to cut out something bad that you eat, you know, just things.
Or it might be, if you go through your closet, it'll be easier to pick out what you're going to wear in the morning.
Yeah, like you
cut down
save yourself
time.
Yeah, exactly. Save yourself time.
It's so weird how you, like, come across stuff. That's what I'm going to try to, like, do when I, like, talk about whatever my weekly obsession is follow the trail of how I got there.
Okay.
Because it's always interesting to me what leads me to what. Like, I remember exactly how I came across the Konmari Method. I was watching, I've been obsessed with tiny homes for a while.
Me too.
So I was watching a video about this lady who has a tiny home called the Lucky Penny.
Aww.
And it's really cute. It's got like copper all over it and stuff. And she was just giving a tour of her tiny house. And she opened her dresser and she was like, so I have my clothes sorted in the Konmari Method and it has changed my life. And then she like moved on. And I was just like, what's that? So I like looked it up and then I read the book and I was just like, pfft. And so because of my interest in tiny homes, I got to that. Okay. And then all this other stuff happened.
See, yeah, that was kind of the same thing for me too. I got really into tiny homes, but then I was like, how could I live in one? Because I have so much stuff. And so then I got to like different organizational stuff. And then my grandma was like throwing away a bunch of stuff and I was going through her books because I'm kind of, okay. Another problem with my organization is I'm a scavenger. If people are giving things away, I'm like, let me take a look.
Let me look through it.
Let me see if I can get anything.
I know. I kind of like did that to you the other day. Well, you wanted it.
But
so.
I did. I was like, well, okay, let's do this. So, but yeah, so I found it on her bookshelf, and I was like, organization, you say? Well, okay then. So it kind of...
Let's take that.
Yeah, it kind of evolved into the same sort of thing that you did. So just in a different way. I wasn't watching video. So, okay, I had this, like, dream journal, and I can show you. I have, like a ton of...
So you get yourself there.
I know, it's so hard. So I have, like, a ton of... pictures of tiny houses, and so I have like a bedroom here and a living room there, and I like put them all together, and like I had this whole thing. But then I married Forrest and realized that dream will never come true because one, he's just a big dude, and two, like it's not gonna happen.
Well, but then I like see these people that's like wife, husband, and 6 kids live in a tiny house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, freaking how?
No.
They live in California. That's how.
They
live outside.
They can exactly. They can exist outside. We're trapped like half the year inside.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that might be okay. What we just talked about. That might be a good way to like start the episode.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, all that to say, I'm gonna try to like whatever my weekly obsession is. I'm gonna try to like track how I got there.
Okay. And then I'll try to do the same, but it's really just gonna be more of just like I found this thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to watch it. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's see.
Let's intro what this is.
Okay.
So,
Do you want to?
were you going to?
I was about to, but that's
Then
only
do
because I
it.
thought that you weren't gonna do it.
No. Well, we can tag team it.
You know, okay, yeah, you started the episode, so whoever starts the episode will start. The other person will start the obsession thing.
I don't remember starting the episode.
That's hilarious. You did though.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay.
I promise. You actually kind of did it twice because you did the part that we just did, and then you also did like the beginning part. Okay. So, anyways, okay. All right. So, all right. So another part of our podcast that we want to do is talking about our weekly obsessions or our most recent obsessions. So we kind of are the kind of people that every now and then we just find ourselves obsessed with something that's like totally new. And Emily's stories are probably always the best, like how she finds things, because I just kind of stumble upon them. But Emily, how did you find this recent obsession?
Well, so as you said, we have things that we just kind of become obsessed with. And they're usually very random. Mm-hmm. So the thing, I just wanted to preface that before I say what I'm about to say next. So my most recent obsession is very extreme singers. You're welcome.
I'm so glad you didn't tell me before. Oh my gosh, that's too good. Okay, tell us about extreme singers.
Okay, so it's a long trail to get there. So have you ever watched or heard the cover of Sound of Silence covered by Disturbed?
I know Disturbed. I'm not sure about the sound. Oh, yes. No, I have. Yes, you're right. Yep.
Have you seen it where he sings on Conan?
Yes, yeah.
Oh my God. So I saw that video a long time ago. I think I came across it on Tumblr because I think somebody commented, I thought this was a meme, and then my mind was blown because it starts off with the hello darkness my old friend thing, but then he just blows it out of the water with his range and his raspiness, and it was just crazy. So I came across that a long time ago. I watched it and I was like, that was cool, and then away. But then over Christmas break, my dad actually brought it up. He said, if you've never seen this, you need to watch it. And I was like, I have seen it. He's like, okay, your next assignment is to go watch reaction videos to it because there's people that are just speechless when they watch it. So I was watching some reaction videos. Okay. And I came across one where a vocal coach was watching and reacting to it. And hers was very interesting because she gave a lot of technical background to what he was doing and talking about how advanced the techniques were that he was doing to get the sound he was doing. Because his voice is very raspy, but he does it in a way that doesn't damage his voice. So that was very interesting. So of the reaction videos I watched, I really liked hers. So I went through her channel and wanted to see what other stuff she'd done. So I do what I normally do when I'm researching a new YouTube channel. I go and sort their videos by popularity. And so her top video was reacting to a singer from Kazakhstan who was, I probably said that very Texan-like, Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan.
He was on a Chinese singing competition. And so I started watching it, and oh my God. You want to talk about extreme singing? I have to show it to you because you need to understand. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. I think I've watched that video like 20 times this week. I don't know why.
Just anytime Emily needs to pick me up, she just turns that video on.
Pretty much. I don't know why I like it so much, but it amazes me. And I'm just like, so.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my obsession this week. It's like really crazy singing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is really crazy. Like, so I was in choir for 2 years, and I was an alto too, which means like I could get really low, but like I stayed low. like that. I was happy there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you want to talk about somebody having range. He's got all of the range, like even range that isn't his. Yeah. He's like, doesn't matter. I got it.
That is my range now.
Yeah. God. He has another video that I won't make you watch right now.
Okay.
But it's on that same competition. It's called like Opera 2.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any interest in going to watch it? Okay. But it starts out, he's just singing kind of in his normal tone, maybe a little bit higher, but just kind of singing. And then all of a sudden he just like belts, just as like loud as he can and like the highest note that he can. Gosh. And then he just goes back to singing, and then he like does it again. And then just for the rest of the song, he keeps doing that and just like going higher each time.
That's so crazy.
And he's like messing with the audience as he does it. He's like, you don't think I can do it? I'm going to do it, watch it. All right, what's your recent obsession?
So my recent obsession began, I kind of have a trail for this one, not really, but kind of. So my mom is part of this feminist book club. And so it's really, what it really is just 6 women like pretending to read a book. Sometimes they'll finish it. But most of the time, not really finishing the book, then Googling it, and then sitting around drinking wine, talking about it, and just talking about how hard they have it as women and things like that. So, but
they have an excuse and call it a book club.
Exactly. Like, to be fair, if any middle-aged women are in book clubs, it's like 9 times out of 10, it's that. Just women drinking wine and complaining about stuff. But,
which is fine. You need to get it out.
You just gotta have a support group. If you want a support group, just call it that. Anyways, there was one month where they read The Handmaid's Tale, and this is around the time where it was like, Hillary was like, nearing not really The Office, and and all this like fourth wave feminists is really like coming into focus and everything like that. And I was going to women's marches and stuff, and so I read Handmaid's Tale, and it's basically a dystopian future novel about if men basically had their way and like women were put in their place, so to speak. And but recently, I guess in the past few years, they made a TV show about it. And okay, so here's the thing about this obsession. I would not recommend any of my friends to watch this because it is so uncomfortable. Like, it's one of those shows that you're like, I want to stop watching, but I gotta know what happens. So, because the way the book ends was very ambiguous. And so the way it goes, like, season 1 is the book. And so it ends, and then season 2, you're like, oh, there's more. We're gonna learn what happens to her. I'm halfway through season 2, and I'm like, I'm still not sure what's gonna happen to her. So it's just very, I've just been very much obsessed with it because it's every episode. It's just like, well, now that this happened, well, how's that going to change things, So it's just been a very uncomfortable obsession of like trying to do this, and also just feeling really angry that there's like men that like think this way, and then there's also women that think this way, and it's just like...
That's kind of been my experience with anybody that talks about The Handmaid's Tale. Mm-hmm. They're like, it's depressing. Mm-hmm. Don't watch it, but I can't stop watching it.
Yeah,
like
it's like one of those things that it's like I wouldn't want any of my friends to endure what I'm doing, but I'm in it now, and so it's like when you in The Ring, when you watch the videotape, you're in it. You don't want anyone else to watch it, but you're in it, and so
you gotta keep going.
You gotta keep going, and so it's just. But the thing is too is that it's a very I did a lot of feminist perspectives with like essays about books and things like that. So it is an interesting kind of seeing the book from this new perspective of like actually following this character around, and you're seeing the things that she's seeing, but then at the same time you're seeing the other characters too, because it just follows her and the book. And so now you're just kind of like piecing all these things together. So from a feminist perspective, trying to, kind of get a better handle on when I read literature and kind of skewing it in that way and seeing it in that light, it is very interesting. But again, don't watch it.
Knowing me, I don't think I will
I know.
watch it.
I was like, she hasn't watched Game of Thrones yet. It's fine. She's not gonna watch Handmaid's
I'm still
Tale.
psyching myself up for that one though.
So yeah, all right. So the consensus of our obsessions is watch Extreme Singing. Do not watch Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
So
Extreme singing will make you happy.
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale will not.
it will make you very sad and angry and a little bit sick to your stomach, and then also you want to watch it more, and then also just very sad with yourself that you're kind of letting yourself be manipulated by this TV show. So.
Well, maybe if you get roped into the sinkhole that is Handmaid's Tale, maybe in between episodes you can watch Extreme Singing, and that'll kind of lighten the mood a little bit.
Like, so last night I was like, I told Forrest, I was like, I have to watch a Pixar movie because I need to like balance out this darkness that's on my life. Well, that's it for our podcast today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We certainly did. Since this was our first one, it might have been a little bit rocky, but I think we're going to get into it more as time goes on. We wanted to take a quick second to promote some of the other things that we're doing. So I have a blog called authorcsloanlewis.com where I write about my transition into becoming an author and how I am working toward my writer's platform. And then I also have my Instagram page at cs.sloanlewis. And Emily, what about you?
My mom and I have a crafting blog called aestheticshorts.com. We do very easy to follow DIYs so you can learn how to craft and make cute stuff. On the blog I make videos and my mom writes blogs, and my videos are on the YouTube channel Did You Make That? So you can look that up too and watch videos. You can subscribe there too.
Alright, sounds good. Yeah, you can follow me on both of my blog and my Instagram page, and that's all we have for today. So stay tuned for our upcoming YouTube page, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.